Hello, everyone. This is going to be my second video, unscripted. My first one was the Halloween special that I did with the tier list, but um, today I'm going to do something a bit different from what I usually do, which is Omega Strikers content. I want to talk about a game that got me started into content creation. So, um, last year, well, down to the very day, um, it is the 1 year anniversary of Fire Emblem Engage, and I'm a big fan of Fire Emblem. And when I first started getting into streaming, before I just stopped entirely because I thought there was no point since I wasn't getting any viewers. Um, Fire Emblem Engage was my first ever game that I started streaming, and I remember talking about the story and just how some of the characters just drive me up the wall. Like Fram could, I would literally just, I would want to put a handgun to her head and tell her to shut up, or else I will shoot her and destroy her brains because that is how annoying she is. And I remember at the end of after finishing the game and finishing the story, I remember saying that it was good, and a few months later, I immediately take back those words. It was, oh god, it was so bad. There were so many moments. I mean, there were just so many moments in the game that were just like, why? Like, why are Zephyr and Greece just reminiscing about how Zephyr always wanted a family and how she realized that she didn't already have a family when she would talk about how Mother is angry and Mother referring to herself or Greece existing? Like, what's the point of his character besides just an enemy that's somehow a major threat when all he ever does is just fight and is a masochist? And then you have Sombron, who I wished was a better villain, but because because of his methods just being so insane, just having making children and making them slaves, and oh god, just I just wish the game was better, and and more. I just want to talk about specifically that I just want to talk about Alear, the main character. I feel like Alear, if Fire Emblem Engage took itself seriously, I shit you not, I feel like Alear would have been the best Fire Emblem lord ever. I'm not serious. I'm serious. I'm serious when I say that because there's just so much potential with them. Uh, I mean, let's not beat about around the bush. What they did with Alear was disgusting. They basically took Robin and Corin and mushed them together, and you have Alear. Because you took the Robin side of him having of them having amnesia and being connected to the main villain, which was the Fell Dragon, and then you took Corin's whole being worshipped as a god, basically, and being the central focus, while kind of being bland. So you basically just have Corbin or Robin, if it whichever one fits your fancy. But I feel like if they took it, because the thing is, I'm replaying Fire Emblem Engage just to remember some of the shit that goes down in the story, and the beginning it was awful. With, I mean, let's not beat around the bush. This Alear being connected to Sombron and just the whole foreshadowing that they're trying to do, it was horrible. The moment that they announced his character with the whole blue and red hair and Colgate memes and Pepsi memes aside, it was really obvious that Alear was going to be connected to the main villain. Like, they weren't even trying, and I feel ashamed because I feel like Alear, if put in a more serious game, they would have been incredible. Because I feel like instead of making, because I'm just going by my memory, I haven't gotten that far in my replay. I just reached chapter 3, I believe. If Well, finished chapter 3, where Lumera dies, which they really want to make you care about her when you only known her for about like a chat, literally like 2 chapters whole. You know her the second half of the first chapter, and then you know her all of chapter 2, and then you know her for most of chapter 3, and she's dead. She's treated like Queen Makoto in Fire Emblem Fates, where you know her for a bit, and then she dies. She's meant to be this sort of emotional reaction, but it's just I mean, I couldn't help myself laughing in that time because I mean that makes me sound crazy, but just it's pathetic how much they try to make you feel for Lumera when you barely even know her, and how she's meant to be your mother, and how she and just the plot importance that she has in the story overall with Alear in general. So, I mean, let's just get into it. I feel like Alear would have served better as a character if instead of basically making another Robin and another Corrin, I feel like they would have done better if instead of making them a sufferer of amnesia, they would have been better as a sufferer of PTSD. Which, because a lot of the story beats that goes on in Fire Emblem Engage feels like Alear should have had PTSD from the beginning, but they just didn't go that route, and I don't know why. Like in chapter 10, when at the end of the chapter, when Sombron forms and starts corrupting your emblems that you have, you see Alear just starting to feel hopeless against it because their power has been taken away. I feel like it would have been much better if uh she sees, because in I forget which chapter it is, but it's like the last it's one of the penultimate chapters of the game where you travel back in time to get rid of one of the dragon stones destroyed so you can take on Sombron without having to deal with any bullshit. You find Alear before they became the Alear that we have today at 1,000 years ago, and the amount of fucked up things she's seen, it makes you feel for her and how much she really cares for Vale. Like, she saw her siblings die horrifically by the corrupted. Some of them were burned, some of them were drowned, some of them were just gorged to death. And it's like, how do you recover from that shit? I get that you've slept for 1,000 years, but that's a very core memory of when you were alive in a war that happened 1,000 years ago. You saw your siblings get demolished by zombies and killed in these horrific ways, and you just somehow forget all that. Nothing. I mean, in chapter 1, where you fight the corrupted for the first time, just Alear stating that they make him feel uneasy for some reason. I mean, knowing the game now, yeah, it's foreshadowing, but it's like anyone would feel uneasy seeing those things. They're zombies. It's not that hard to feel uneasy when you see a zombie trying to murder you. But I mean, imagine if instead, if we go to PTSD route, imagine if instead Alear saw the corrupted, and then a core memory just flashes through their mind, remembering all those horrific moments of their siblings dying, and starts having a panic attack because just groveling on the floor, freaking out just by the sight of them, which is something that they probably would have which is something that they teased in the C support with Alear and Diamant, but and it doesn't go anywhere. But imagine if it was more like that, and I think also it would have been better if Alear, if the story of Fire Emblem Engage started during the war 1,000 years ago, where you start off by playing as Alear serving Sombron at that same time, at when the current Alear travels back in time and meets the past Alear, and then you have a fight where you play as current Alear going up against past Alear. And I feel like it would have been better to start off there so that you could see how Lumera basically became the adopted parent that saved Alear from the amount of abuse she's been through, and how being a defect just doesn't make you different or make you lesser. It makes you more, in fact. Being emotional is something you should have, which, I mean, that's a pretty telling story. A lot of those moments where, I mean, like in chapter 1, if Alear was just groveling at the floor and just remembering all the things she's been through, and then she hears Martha's voice and suddenly gains the courage to fight back, and yeah, that would mean that Alear would probably not be I mean, Alear would probably just be not usable in that map, and you would most likely either just be using Vander or or it's just a cutscene where it's just Vander as an ally going around defeating the corrupted because Alear is just having a panic attack on the floor, which while disgusting because Clan Fram, I hate you. You both are terrible characters, and I wish you were never born. It would have made so much sense if they went that route. And then again in chapter 10, when the emblems that you have were being corrupted by Sombron, when he says those incantations, imagine Alear starting to have those memories again, but now she's groveling on the floor and she's having a heightened panic attack than last time because now she's thinking of the emblems as her brothers and sisters in arms, and just groveling on the floor, screaming their names, and it's the potential is right there and they just didn't go for it. It would have made so much sense. And then at the end of I forget which one was chapter 21 or chapter 20, I forget, but imagine at the end of that the whole story comes full circle where she takes that attack for Vale and makes and sacrifices their life for their sister. That would have and becomes the final emblem. That would have been a way to portray the whole that would have been a way to just show how the story is about overcoming your past, and how the past doesn't define who you are today, and how you're and overcoming you're overcoming your fears. That would have been an incredible story for someone like Alear, and that would have hit really hard with some people who were playing this that were probably veterans or others who suffer from trauma. It would have been amazing and probably would have touched people's hearts more, but they also just decided to cower out, and they just decided to take the coward route and think that they should just, since it's the 30th anniversary of Fire Emblem, or 35th, they just go haha funny and make this game feel like it was made for E10 when this series has always been rated T. I mean, you look back and you look at I haven't played these personally, but you look back and you think of the games like Path of Radiance or Genealogy of the Holy War, or the one that I did play, Three Houses, but I didn't pay attention to because at that time I was a 14-year-old who didn't know what the hell storytelling was and only cared about gameplay. You wonder, where did this series go wrong? Like, they had the potential because they did it in the literal last game, and then for their anniversary game, they just go fuck it. It's disgusting because Alear they have so much potential to be an incredible main lord, and Engage just has this amazing potential to have a great story while also having probably the best gameplay in the entire series. And look, the emblems, I like the emblems. They're fine. They should have just been expanded on more, and the emblems are a perfect way to call back the rest of the Fire Emblem games. I get it. It's an anniversary game. That's fine. But don't make your characters feel like one-off cliches, or don't be afraid to try something new just because it's a game that's meant to be more of a celebration instead of, if that's what Engage feels like. It feels more like a celebration instead of a game, story wise, because I feel like most of the time you're just going through the beats. I've never played Awakening, but it seems like you're just going through the beats of Awakening, where you're just kind of traveling around. Well, it feels more like Awakening, but faster paced, I guess, because you know what you need to do. You know who Sombron is. You know that he's awakened. You know you need to go around and get the emblems because Lumera told you to. And I just really wish that the story was taken more seriously. And I wish it was given the respect and love that it really should have deserved, because the writing team had an incredible plot down, but they just decided to uh, take the easier route and just repeat characters, or just make characters that are very one note, like Alfred. No, Alchrist, not Alfred. Alchrist, who is mainly a coward, or Fram, who is just Faye 2.0, or zero point 0.5 because of just how annoying she is, or Marin, who's all about things being cool and that's about it, and Rosado, who's just about things being cute and that's about it, and she also has a little bit of art, but that's not really explored that much. Um, the only characters that I really like are ones that have supports that feel like they tread differently. Like, I really like the support with John and Zelkov, because despite Zelkov's weird nature of trying to enunciate words, because I don't know, I think he might be a foreigner, I'm not sure, but I like that story of just how Jean and Zelkov bond through alchemy, and just and making and brewing potions, and just getting to know more about Zelkov's past, about how his family was assassinated, or that one or the one with Boucheron and Kagetsu, which it really warms my heart, because I know they don't go all the way because there's no S supports in the game, but which I feel like they should have had. But it goes from funny to just it goes from a bit funny from a cultural language barrier to just straight up, can they just kiss already? With the whole quizzing thing, and it's just really fun. It's just really fun and cute to watch. And I'm just I'm just broken record right now without a script. But Engage, more specifically Alear, deserved way better, just by making the story feel more about a story of how you shouldn't how you should push past your fears, and that your past does not define who you are today, and that you can change no matter what background you come from. It would have been a more impactful story, and I just wish it was just treated better. And I'm just kind of disappointed that it wasn't. Also, I've never played the Xenologue, so I have no idea how that goes, because I do not. I just haven't purchased it. I'm sorry, but if the Xenologue is any good, that's fine. But considering how much we've been through in how much I've been through in Engage, and how much I've just felt like, oh god, when will this uh clown fest end? I don't have high hopes for the Xenologue. So, in short, I wish Alear treaded new grounds and was given the love that they could have had, that would have made them one of if not the best lord in Fire Emblem history. So yeah, that's it for the video.